just I would say if you do interview him, just don't wear a lot of pads, extra padding anywhere, because he's not going to like that, because he's really doesn't like a lot of back pads or like elbow pads and things like that. So, but he's a great coach, and he's super excited. I think he's done a masterful job. If you look at some of the guys he's had in Atlanta, how he's developed players, I think it's one of the things that I probably admire most about his coaching style is his ability to take these younger guys and make them really, really good. So I think we've got a good plan. We've got a bunch of draft picks this year, 11 draft picks this year. I think we're going to probably have a whole bunch of draft picks next year. We will be looking at some free agents as well. We'll probably bring a couple guys in the next couple weeks. But I have a lot of confidence in Coach Ledford and our offensive staff to develop guys. And I'm confident we've done it before. I think we have a pretty good history of drafting centers. I could go back and probably give you 4 or 5 guys that we've drafted over the years that have ended up being some of the very best centers in the league. So I'm confident we can do that.
Eric, obviously with the trade not happening, you get your first round picks back. Is the plan to kind of still prepare for the draft as if you have those picks, or are you kind of open to still making other deals?
Well, right now we have those picks, right? So, I had kind of taken a Sharpie and X'd out about 25 players on my list that we weren't going to have a chance to select, and I have to make a new list and have those players back on the list. But we'll be ready for anything. Obviously, if there's a player that we think we can acquire that's worth a first-round pick, then we'll do it. But I think the reality is there's many, many different ways for us to get better as a football team, whether it's free agency, the draft, undrafted free agency, trades. There's a lot of things we can do. I think we're headed in the right direction. I think we probably maybe signed today alone maybe 4 or 5 guys. And it's fun. I think our scouts and coaches have done a great job adding players. And it's going to be a whole bunch of different guys. You'll have some expensive guys. You'll have some cheap guys, right? But they all end up working together as a team. And some of our best signings, I think, every single year are the guys that you get for the minimum salary, right? Last year we were able to get Cheeto Awuzie really cheap. We just signed him back again today. Excited about that. Did a hell of a job for us last year. Fired up to get him back. And so I think the hunt goes on, and we are super excited about this team, where we're headed. A lot of opportunities today, tomorrow, this coming weekend. Promise not to do too many signings this weekend so you guys don't have to write too many articles. I'm probably not going to be here this weekend, so there's a good chance we won't be signing anybody. But don't quote me on that.
Eric, I know you try to keep things in-house with Lamar, but can you at least indicate whether there was, before the restructuring, was there any progress made at the time before that?
I mean, Jameson, I've said this a million times. Lamar and I are not going to talk about like the negotiation aspect of our relationship. So I'm going to stand by that.
Just going back to the way things kind of unfolded, it looks like you're getting Maxx, and then it doesn't happen, and so forth, and again, speculation. Do you have any concern, or how do you view that any concern of maybe impacting doing business with other teams, other players, other relationships, whatever kind of impact it might have when something like that unfolds? Obviously, guys fail physicals.
Yeah. Well, it hasn't stopped my phone from ringing. I'll tell you that. I think our relationship with agents and with other teams is really, really good. I understand the question. I think that GMs understand the importance of getting as much information as possible before making decisions. And I would say that most agents would say that myself, George, Nick, Mark Acevedo, Ozzy, Sashi, everybody that works with agents would say that we're a class organization that does business the right way, respectful, and willing to get deals done.
Eric, I know you've had to make some tough conversations with players over the years. What was it like with Maxx when you had to inform him that you guys were going to have to move on?
Yeah, like you said, in this business you have a lot of tough conversations, right? It was tough. It's a guy that I really admire as a player. I mean, you've all watched him play, so you all know what he's like as a player, right? This is a guy that plays like a Raven, So yeah, it's challenging. You get emotionally attached. That's what I would say.
Eric, you said you were gutted by this. Is there anything you regret that you did or did not do as part of this process that could have changed the results, the end results here?
I think I'm hard on myself, and you think you question everything you do, in this business. You're never perfect, right, with the draft and with free agency. I think in this particular instance, I'm really proud of the team and the doctors and, the guys that work with me. And this is a tough thing that we have to deal with in this business. I don't really know what we could do differently than what we did. So, again, it's a really, really, really tough call. There were moments yesterday when, honestly, I was probably speechless. Just sitting in my chair in my office and just thinking about what the next step would be and trying to get as much information as possible. And it wasn't, I should say, it wasn't just, in a situation like this, you try to get as much information as you can from as many different sources as you can. And it just didn't work out. So, tough, very, very challenging. We've dealt with these kinds of things in the past, but probably never at such a large figure. So, challenging.
Did you try to renegotiate at all the terms of it?
I think at some point you get to the point where, when you look at the situation, you have to make the right decision. It's not always about, the value. It's just what is the right decision for the club at the time. And that's a hard thing to do. But as I said, when you're a steward of the organization and you're put in that position, you've got to make the tough call.
Eric, sorry if you were asked this right at the top. Do you think if you had gotten the fuller picture by, let's say, Sunday, as opposed to when you got it, would that have materially changed the kind of results here in these first days of free agency?
We try to value every single player, and I think, I understand the question, Jonas. I think it's just like you spend a lot of time saying, this is what this player is, this is who he is, this is how he plays, this is what he's worth. And we try not to deviate from that. And so I think that would it have allowed us to spend more money on players? Maybe, but would we have done it? Probably not. You have a threshold that you get to, that you want to get to. And typically we try to be fairly responsible when it comes to that. And we have to make tough calls. And so I can't say that it would have changed that much. I understand these things do kind of, have repercussions, and I get that. It's challenging, for these other teams maybe. There are other teams affected by this as well. For us specifically, this was something that we felt would give us the chance to build the team the way we wanted to build the team. It just didn't work out for us.
There are two more.
Going back to Linderbaum for a minute. Did you feel like you guys were in it competitive in that situation right up until the end, or did you sort of feel the market maybe get away from you a little bit at some point, or what was your sense of that?
I'll just quickly put it in perspective. So when I was a young man and I was living down in Fed Hill, and I was going to buy a home on Hamburg Street. So I had all the money I had, which wasn't a lot of money. I was a young scout, and I put an offer on the house. It was everything I had. The guy called me back and said, hey, we got a cash offer, so you got to give us a little bit of more money. So I did. And then I'm like, man, I have nothing left. Then he came back again. He said, I need your final offer, your best offer. And I said, I already gave it to you, right? And it just was like I wasn't ever going to get that house because the other people had more money to spend on the house. That's kind of how I felt. Does that make sense?
Eric, have you taken anything personally from how the other side of this deal fell apart, handled things?
You know what? I tell you, as I said, I got a lot of respect. I have so much respect for the Raiders organization, John Spytek. I've known John a long time and admired the way his career has gone. The Davis family. I just have always loved the Raiders, and Max's agents, Doug Henderson, Cliff LeBoy, CJ. They're two of the best guys out there. Those guys. And this has affected a lot of people, and it saddens me that the deal didn't go through. It's just, unfortunately, one of the aspects of this business that is challenging. It's not. There's different ways that things can fall through, and I feel equally sad that we lost Tyler. I feel equally sad that Isaiah's not playing here anymore, right? I hate to see Jordan Stout go play for somebody else. And those are all tough things. We all kind of say, oh, we got paid, he got this, he got that. I love those guys. I love our team. I love our players. I'm proud of them, I'm proud of the fact that, you know, everybody spends money on our players, but it's tough. So you kind of lose on both ends, right? You maybe you lose out on a Maxx Crosby, and that's gut wrenching. But it's hard to lose a guy like Tyler or Isaiah, and there's, you know, a bunch of other guys that you get attached to, and you watch them grow and become some of the better players in the league. And I'm proud of that. And you know, I'll tell those guys there will always be Ravens in my eyes. They'll always be a part of the culture and the fabric of this place. But when they leave, it's tough. So that's what I would say on that.
All right, thanks, Eric.
Thanks, guys.
We'll have an announcement for you guys soon for on a press